Okay, so sorry this is late. I did have a parent come in, so I got a little backtracked, but I want to make sure that you understand that tonight's lesson is lesson 5, part 1. So we're only doing 147 and 148 tonight, and then tomorrow night we will finish off the rest of it. So today in class we were practicing comparing numbers with multiplication and division equations. Well, tonight we're going to be comparing using addition and subtraction. You can find how much more or how much less one amount is than the other. So today we were doing how many more, how many times. Today it's how much more, how much less. The amount more or less is called, I'm reading right here in this paragraph, the amount more or less is called the difference. In some problems, the difference is not given. You have to find it. In other problems, the lesser or the greater amount is not given. So that's what we're going to be problem solvers and set these up. And I have these diagrams that I made pretty. You don't have them on yours, so if you need to draw them and pause it and draw them and pause it to stay with me, feel free to do that. Here's our first problem that we're going to try here, or this is our first example. My has 9 apples and 12 plums. How many more plums than apples does my have? So of course, the bigger box is going to be the bigger number. So we're going to label that plums with a 12 because that's what our problem tells us. Apples is the smaller amount with a 9. Well, what we want to know is how many more plums, so this section right here, how many more plums than apples does my have? How many fewer apples, so we're talking about, again, this little section right here. How many fewer apples than plums does my have? Comparison bars can help us show which one is more. We show the difference in an oval. So the difference here would be 12 take away 9. So the answer is going to be 3 apples. So how many more plums? There's 3 more plums and 3 fewer apples. So when we're drawing comparison bars for each of these problems, it's going to be the same thing. A nursery has 70 rose bushes and 50 tea tree bushes. How many fewer tea tree bushes than rose bushes are there at the nursery? So the bigger number is going to go in the bigger box with 70. The smaller number is going to go in the smaller box, and it wants to know how many fewer tea tree bushes than rose bushes are at the nursery. So if I were setting up an equation for this, it would be 70 take away 50 equals 20. So there are 20 fewer tea tree bushes. And see, at this point in class, you couldn't rewind me and do that again or pause me, but you have that option right now. Let's do another one. Dan wants to plant 30 trees. He has dug 21 holes. How many more holes does Dan need to dig? So I'm going to put my 30 trees here, and he's already dug 21 holes. How many holes does he have left to fill in that blue space? So my equation would be 30 take away 21 equals 9. So he needs to not dig 9 more holes. Hopefully you're with me so far. Okay, so if we're moving on up here, your equations can vary depending on how you're seeing it, but I want you to see that this model can help you, but you don't want to always rely on it every single time. It's just a visual for right now to get our minds in that mindset of comparing two different numbers. So these are bigger numbers on this page, on page 148. Kyle and Mackenzie are playing a computer game. Kyle scored 7,628 points. Mackenzie scored 2,085 fewer points than Kyle. How many points did Mackenzie score? So we can't fill in the boxes the way we've been filling them out. We know how much Kyle scored. Kyle scored 7,628 points. Okay. Mackenzie scored 2,085 fewer points than Kyle. So that would be this bubble right here. Fewer. Because we don't truly know how many points Mackenzie has scored. And I'm going to put this as a P for points. So my equation is going to be P plus Mackenzie's points plus the 2,085 fewer points should equal Kyle's score of 7,628 points. So of course, the way I'm going to solve this is I'm going to subtract 2,085 from that number, and I should get 5,543 points. So let's try another one. Feel free to pause at any time if you need to. The school fair fundraiser made $632 more from baked goods than from games. The school fair made $935 from games. How much money did the school fair make from baked goods? So as I'm reading this, I'm already kind of thinking, is it going in the big rectangle? Is it going in the small rectangle? Or is it going in the oval? I'm kind of starting to think how this picture represents this word problem. So it made $632 more from baked goods than from games. So I'm thinking 632 is going to go here because that's that one more or fewer piece. The school fair made $935 from games. So $935 from games. Because I say this goes here because when I look back at my first sentence, it says made $632 more from baked goods than from games. So this top one has to be baked goods, and this bottom one has to be games. So I need to know how much it was for baked goods. So it's going to be 632 plus 935. 632 more from baked goods than from games. This is going to equal baked goods. Baked goods equals 1,567. If you need to check my math or pause it, this is the time. A college football stadium in Michigan seats 901 people. A college football stadium in Louisiana seats 92,542 people. How many fewer people does the stadium in Louisiana seat than the stadium in Michigan? Ooh, this one's easy because it's a distinct bigger than the smaller. So I know that my top square is going to equal the Michigan seats. 109,901 people. Then the smaller square is going to equal my Louisiana seats. 92,542. How many fewer people does the stadium in Louisiana seat than the stadium in Michigan? So I'm going to make that S for seats. And it's going to be S equals 109,901 take away 92,542, which equals 17,359 seats. Now, if you were in class, I might, and actually it shouldn't be seats, should it? What should it be? In your form, I ask you. If you were in class, I'd ask you to do this math by yourself, but since you're doing it at home, I'm kind of doing it for you. So know that tomorrow in class, I will be giving you some word problems. I might help you set up the equation, but I'm going to make you do the basic math. Last one here. The soccer team drilled for 150 minutes last week. The team drilled for 30 minutes more than it scrimmaged. For how long did the team scrimmage? So the 30 minutes more than it scrimmaged, and they drilled for 150 minutes last week. So you're going to do 150 minus 30 equals how many minutes they scrimmaged, which should be what? How many minutes? Answer that one on the form. I'm going to make you do the math on that one. Because 150 minutes last week, the team drilled for 30 minutes more. So you have 150, whoa, how you doing? 150 more, 150 minutes last week drilled for 30 minutes more than it scrimmaged. So you're going to add these two together to get this entire box. So hopefully this makes sense. You're going to be answering number 5 correctly with the correct label and tell me the answer to number 6 on the form. I'm sorry this is late. I will see you tomorrow.